Rachel Reeves is preparing her latest budget, and it's a moment that will set the economic course for the country for years to come. In every carefully managed speech and interview, she's been setting the stage. This morning we heard an 18-minute video where we learned pretty much nothing, except we know that our taxes are going to rise. We hear a lot about tough but necessary choices. She's warning that we will all have to contribute and each of us must do our bit. She even managed to piss off Lorraine Kelly this morning by taking up that 18 minutes out of breakfast TV. And for Lorraine Kelly to get involved in this, I found that quite extraordinary. But what does that all really mean? For weeks there's been growing suspicion that behind all the talk of fairness, the Chancellor is getting ready to break promises in her manifesto by hiking taxes on working people. She's carefully avoided ruling out increases to income tax, national insurance or VAT, although I can't see how she's not going to do that. This isn't some sort of secret plot, it's a strategy to brace the public for more economic pain. But what she isn't telling you is that a comprehensive, credible and much fairer alternative is already out there. A plan that could actually grow the economy, fund our public services and put more money in your pocket without these punishing tax hikes. So let's break down the step-by-step plan she's refusing to even consider, and let's ask why she seems so scared to do it. So what's the big problem Rachel Reeves says that she needs to solve? Well, we're told that there's a fiscal black hole in the country's finances. You'll hear figures thrown around, anywhere from 25 billion to 40 billion, maybe even more, often blamed on revised productivity forecasts, the impact of the pandemic, and even Brexit. Faced with this gap, the Chancellor insists her ironclad commitment to her fiscal rules, again arbitrary rules, is bringing down the national debt. Her hint to that solution involves all of us contributing. That's classic language a Chancellor uses right before they raise broad-based taxes that hit absolutely everyone. But let's be clear, raising taxes like VAT or national insurance during a cost of living crisis is a terrible economic strategy. It yanks money out of people's pockets when they need it most. It kills demand and could easily choke off the very growth she claims to want. Now she insists this won't be a return to austerity, and has said that she wants to protect public services, but by focusing so intensely on tax rises and fiscal rules, while her promises on investment remain vague, she's using the exact same logic that always leads to austerity. For decades, politicians have successfully sold us the lie that the government's budget works just like a household budget, and the only choices are to tax more or spend less. This completely ignores that government investment is what creates growth in the first place. The choices she's hinting at could easily lead to austerity for ordinary people with everything but name. The real question is, why this path? When the economy is stagnating, why is the first instinct to take even more money from the public instead of chasing a real strategy for growth? The answer, it seems, has a lot less to do with economics and a lot more to do with pleasing the unaccountable bullies in the City of London. To understand Rachel Reeves' choices, you have to ask what she's really trying to reassure. It's not you or your family. Her main audience is the undemocratic and unaccountable group of bullies in the financial markets, the City of London. They're the ones who are holding us all back. All this talk of ironclad fiscal rules is about signalling stability to investors. She's been very publicly courting the financial sector, promising them that her number one priority is to be seen as a safe pair of hands. And that becomes a huge problem when stability is just code for avoiding any policy that might upset the powerful, wealthy interests that crushed our economy in the first place. And that's the heart of it. Reeves is choosing to police the city above all else. She's operating from a place of fear. Fear of a market backlash, fear of being called radical, and fear of challenging the failed economic thinking that has given Britain decades of low growth and crumbling public services. Rachel Reeves is scared of them, but we aren't. It's a self-inflicted trap. To prove she's credible to these market bullies, she feels she has to signal tax rises on working people. But those very policies will damage the real economy, which means weaker growth and ironically a worse financial situation down the road. It's a doom loop, and she's walking us straight into it, seemingly too afraid to consider a different way. But that different way does exist. Now, I know these ideas can sound complex, especially when we've been told for so long there's no alternative, but they're actually quite simple when you break them down. There's a comprehensive alternative plan out there championed by economists like Richard J. Murphy that offers a credible path to growth and fairness, one that doesn't involve squeezing working people. It's a plan Reeves is completely ignoring because the bullies in the city would never allow it. So let's get into it. Step 1. Challenge the phony black hole. First, this alternative budget rejects the whole idea that there's a giant fiscal hole that has to be filled with your money. A huge chunk of this so-called gap could be addressed by tackling a massive unnecessary subsidy we pay to commercial banks. When the Bank of England created money through quantitative easing, that money ended up in commercial bank accounts. The taxpayer is now paying billions in interest on these reserves. She said it so herself today. Proponents of reform argue that this is just a pointless handout to banks. Now, this is a contested idea and the Bank of England disagrees. However, reformers suggest that changing the system, maybe with a tiered model like the European Central Bank uses, could save the taxpayer around 15 billion a year, based on some estimates. That one move would shrink the supposed black hole overnight. Step 2, a radically fairer and simpler tax system. Instead of just threatening tax hikes on ordinary people, this alternative focuses on a series of simpler, fairer reforms to existing taxes that would raise significant revenue from the wealthiest. This isn't about a single wealth tax, but about closing loopholes and ending unfair advantages. First, you make the system treat all income equally. Right now, income from work is taxed more heavily than income from wealth. This plan would align the tax rates for capital gains with income tax rates, a move that could raise an estimated £12 billion, £14 billion a year. It would also introduce an investment income surcharge on dividends and interests, ensuring that income from wealth pays its fair share, similar to the national insurance paid on earnings from work. This could raise an additional £18 billion. Next, you reform tax relief so that they benefit everyone, not just the highest earners. Restricting pension tax relief to the basic 20% rate for everyone, instead of giving 40% or 45% relief to the top earners, would make the system fairer and could raise £14.5 billion a year. Finally, reform taxes like inheritance tax by getting rid of absurd reliefs for businesses and agricultural property that have no real economic justification. Instead of being a tax almost no one pays, these reforms would make it work as intended. Together, they are straightforward reforms that would target real unfairness in the system. Step 3, a real plan for growth, the Green New Deal. Growth doesn't come from balancing the books, it comes from investment. So instead of tax rises, this alternative budget proposes a massive public investment programme, a Green New Deal. This would mean creating a carbon army to insulate millions of homes and public buildings, which cuts energy bills and carbon emissions at the same time. It would mean huge investment in renewable energy and modern public transport. Optimistic estimates suggest a programme this big could create over 1 million secure, well-paid jobs across the UK. So how do you pay for it? Not by taxing ordinary people. You do it by mobilising the country's own savings. Right now, hundreds of billions of pounds are sitting in ISAs and private pensions, often invested unproductively overseas. Supporters of this plan, like Richard J. Murphy, estimate that by changing tax incentives to channel this money into green infrastructure bonds, you could direct up to £100 billion a year towards building a better future and generating returns for savers. Step 4, go after the real money, the tax gap. Finally, before you ever ask a single nurse or teacher to pay more tax, you go after the money that's already owed that isn't being collected. HMRC's official estimate for the tax gap is a staggering £46.8 billion a year. Now, a lot of that is from small business errors, which shows why we need a simpler system, but a huge amount is also lost to deliberate tax evasion and avoidance by the super rich and big corporations. For years, HMRC has been starved of funding. Instead of threatening tax hikes, a credible government would announce a major funding boost for HMRC to go after that missing money, a bit like they've been doing with the COVID corruption czar, chasing after all that money that the PPE scandal people had. Every pound invested in cracking down on tax evasion brings in many more. It's the single fairest and most effective way to raise money. So there are two paths ahead. One is the path of fear that Rachel Reeves is hinting at, a path that's all about pleasing the undemocratic bullies in the financial markets. It accepts the failed economic ideas of the past and leads to higher taxes on ordinary people, weak investment, and a sluggish economy held hostage by unaccountable interests. The other path is bolder. It's a path of investment and reform. It tackles bank subsidies, creates a simpler, fairer tax system by making wealth pay its share, uses our own savings to fund the Green New Deal, and goes after the billions in unpaid tax. This isn't a fantasy, it's a coherent economic strategy that puts ordinary people and the planet first. The reason Rachel Reeves won't announce this budget, arguably, is fear. Fear of challenging the powerful interests in the City of London. Fear of being called radical. Fear of doing what's actually necessary to free us from the people holding us all back. The choice isn't between tax rises and impossible dreams. It's between sticking with a failed system that serves the city or finally building one that works for all of us. The plan is there. The only thing missing is the political courage to do it. I know we've covered a lot of ground here today, and these are big ideas. For too long, many of us have believed the lies that politicians tell them about the economy because the details are made to feel overwhelming. That's why in the run-up to the budget day in 3 weeks' time, I'm going to be doing separate deep dive videos on each of these major proposals to build popular support. We'll look at the bank subsidy, the fair tax reforms, the Green New Deal and the tax gap in more detail. So please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss them. If you found this overview useful, hit the like button and let me know in the comments which part of this people's budget you would like to see happen the most. Thanks for watching.